Hello and welcome to this livecast. My name is Peter and today we're going to talk about Workday in upKeeper. As always, I have by my side Roger that will help me with the technical stuff. Welcome, Roger.
Thank you.
Great to have you here. Today we're going to talk about the features you use every day in upKeeper as an admin. We're going to talk about permissions that you should have and shouldn't have when working every day. We're going to talk about where you can find more information about your environment and so on. So let's jump in. Where to start? In a Workday, you come to the office, you want to know what about my clients and my computers? How do they?
Yeah, there are some steps there when I visit our customers and when I take a look at the upKeeper environment to see how is it working. Do they have some issues with it, and perhaps take a look at some log files, some reports. Never forget the report. Reports are telling lots of how the environment's working. So let's move to some demonstration.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's jump in.
Yeah. Step one, log on to our upKeeper environment. See a little bit how it looks. We have this view when you are at the log on page for upKeeper. You can see how many computers you have and how many have been active. And this is calculated every midnight. So this will not be updated every time you refresh. It will be fresh. But take a look at this. If you have lots of machine that's not have been active, then you perhaps have some issue with it. So you will have some differ where you have more up and down, and you will have some number of active and total computers will be a different value, will not be the same value. So this will be the first thing to see. If we move around here, I will check a little bit. I will change the last sync, and I will list all the machines that hasn't been active. So perhaps we have an environment that we have a machine that hasn't been active for a year or 2 years. Should it be there? Just mark it and delete it. Just remove those if it doesn't need to be there. Just to clean it up. The next thing is we have some reports. And report we have a couple, and you can create your own ones if you want. But we have two that are health checkup and top 20 common errors. And if we take a look at the health checkup, we can see that how many computers have been connected in the 30 days. How many pending changing do we have? In this case, we have 100 changing the whole environment.
So the entire environment is actually changing something.
So we are pushing out some application and or lots of application. We're not getting those up installed on the machines. So here we have an issue. I will say now this is a small test environment. We have only a handful computer object, but in bigger environment, when you have 20, 100, 500,000, it shouldn't be 100%.
So all these meters should be in white, so to say. That's the good thing, not in red, because then it's kind of bad. This is a test environment you are showing us today, so it's a little bit ups and downs. And
this is good if this tell how it shouldn't look. So remember that. We get how many machine had done the inventory, so we get a little information of the computer objects we have there. So the report the inventory. Perhaps you have to change the interval there to make sure they are running every day, at least. And computers with errors. We have pushed out an application and something had went wrong.
So that's it's in this environment. It's 40% computers that has errors. So that's not.
That's a little too high.
Little too high. So I think this kind of report, it's a great start to have in like a weekly meeting or something. You go through it together with your administrator co-workers and look it through and see what you should do. If there are any, if it looks like in this environment you should do something, that's no discussion about that. But there are environments where you can have a lot of changes over time, so that's okay as well. It's many environments are changing constantly, so there are changes and so on. So you have to look at it out of the organization's perspective and see what's normal for you, get the basis of that, and look at the report. But do it weekly, monthly, or in some kind of period, so that you know what it should look like and when it's gone wrong, so to say.
You are pushing out a new application every day, at least a couple of times every week, so you will have a lot of changing, but it shouldn't be 100%.
No.
And the other report we have is top 20 common errors, and it can be errors from application that we are trying to install on the machine. They are getting some error from there. It can be 3010 or 1, or it can be a lot of different depending on what we are try to install. But we can see here we have lots of other problems. We have application that is missing in an SMB distribution point. So perhaps we have some issue with our synchronized to the distribution point upload. We have problem to download from HTTP. Download from application. We have some issue with the upKeeper clients. It's stopping a little too often. Is it that we need to update .NET Framework? upKeeper clients is depending on have a working .NET Framework on the machine. And we can see lots of error here. We have a problem downloading from distribution points. We have a problem with the uninstall. That's a 9998. It's something that we click to cancel application. Yeah. And if we have 9999, it's some application that will not finish.
Time out.
This, take a look at this. Remember, this is for long time back.
I think it's from all time. As much logs that you have in your environment is shown in that summary. And you should, as we said with the other report, you should look at it with some intervals and at least once a month to find errors that you can't see it on the client. The clients won't react on it. The environment in itself won't. You won't see it even there. The big difference you can see from this kind of errors is that the environment gets slow, a little bit slower than normal, and that the clients are tending to, like in that particular case where you had a faulty distribution point, clients will get their applications from another distribution point. So you will have unnecessary load on that. So look at both these reports. They are really good. They have been with us for a long time now. So take a look at them.
If we continue to take a look at how our upKeeper environment is working, the next step is to see upKeeper application service. Do we have that service is doing all the back-end job? Will pack all the applications, send jobs to the client machines, wake on LAN, and so on. So we have lots of things that the service is running, doing. Active Directory, gather information there, or integration with MDM, and so on. So you find the log file where you have installed upKeeper application service. If you use default, it will be on the C program upKeeper application 4 and the log. And in this case, the log level is info, so I can see what it is doing, but the standard is warn, so you will get only the errors, the warning. So in this case, everything works correctly.
So you have gone through this before, clean everything.
Yeah, but I clean it every time, so I will make sure I have errors on the right places.
Yeah.
But
great.
This can be a big, large file.
Yeah.
So use find. You have in Notepad, you can just press and find the value. So try to find for error or warn. Easy to go through the log file. But if you have any problem where application is not packaged, so you can distribute it, take a look at this file. Or do you have problem to read information from Active Directory? Take a look at this file. And do you have problem with other integration? Take a look at this log file. So you will find.
And we can say that from time to time we request you to send us the application log when we do some troubleshooting. And we often find the error that we are looking for. But we almost every time we find even more errors. This has been for a long time, like applications that hasn't been packaged correctly. We find faulty other stuff, settings and so on in these files. So we know for a fact that administrators don't go through these log files. So start doing that on regular basis as well. As we said earlier, the system will work, but it won't work as good as it could.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Another thing, if you still have upKeeper 3.9 or lower in your environment, the communication is to the upKeeper application service. And if we have upKeeper client is 4 or higher version, it will have communication to upKeeper client API. So that's a big difference. So depending if you have issue with 3.9 or lower, then you have to take a look at upKeeper application service. If you have problem with 4 or higher, then it's the upKeeper client API. And yeah.
And we when you talk about the clients, the 3.9 and so on, the older versions of upKeeper client, you should really upgrade them to the latest version. As long as you could.
Yeah.
There are some, like if you have Windows XP computers out there, okay, then you can have the upKeeper 3.9 client on them, but every Windows 10 client should have upKeeper 4.7. You should upgrade as soon as possible because it's the best client out there when it comes to upKeeper. So,
can we deploy Windows XP?
I don't think with 4.7. I think we lost that some time
but
ago.
with a 3.9 client,
3.9, it's possible, yes.
And we have support for WinPE upKeeper SUS that we can deploy the image.
Yeah.
It's a little hard to find drivers.
Yeah.
That's the biggest issue.
Yes.
But XP we can.
Yeah.
We won't, but we can. If we take a look at upKeeper client version 4, we have a log file. And in this case, it's we don't have so many clients in this environment, so we have no errors. It's 0, the size. But if we have a problem that we are pushing out application and it's going really slow, take a look at this log file. You can have more than one upKeeper client API. In a bigger environment, you can have 1, 2, or 3 cited. So you have more than one endpoint. So remember to take a look at all of these 3. So if you have a bigger environment, you have not changed the default value, you push out all to whole environment, 3,000 client or 4,000, and you're not allowed more than 200 changing at the same time. It will take time before every machine get that application.
Yeah.
And you will see it in the log file. That is full. It can't handle more, for you have added that property. Yeah. And where do we change it? I know lots of you know it, but we need to take a look at. We have sometimes support cases with this. And now I am in upKeeper client API, web.config. Scroll down and we have some up settings. And here we have max current client change is 100. Yeah. So it will only deploy 100 at once. So that's good.
That's
so you
good.
have to get it to load. Do I change it to 1,000? Then it will be 1,000. But it's important that I know what the value is.
Yeah, yeah, and understand what it does, because it's really sets the limit to 100 clients changing at the same time. and when the 100 are finished with its work, it releases, and another client can access and do the changes they are set to do.
And it works.
And it works.
Yeah.
It's a great.
So that's good.
Yeah.
So we have take a look at some log files in the backend and in the web, so we can know a little bit how the system is working.
Yeah.
So in this case, everything looks fine. We didn't have so much errors. We have some issue with distribution points and little too much changing in the environment.
So that's where we start in the day, so to say, or in the month or the week and so on. So should we go on and
yeah, we can go on.
We can close the log the log part.
But I'm going to show you one more thing.
One more. Okay.
We can see in the report that we have 100% changing. That can be 80% to 50%.
Yeah.
And we need to know which computer it is. There can be a lot. So we have in device view, we can add some more filter properties, and we can check the status. So every machine that has status 9 has some application change. So we can list here that we have these 3 objects have some changing. So we can go, and we have 2 that we have some errors. So we can go and see what we have for problem. We have something failed installation in this case, and 2 applications that has been failed.
Yeah.
So we can go here and do some actions. In this case, I will, if this is a larger environment and I know that we have push out Google Chrome in the whole environment, I will go to that application and see if we have lots of machines that have went wrong. I can mark them, and perhaps we do, should we clear it or do it one more time?
Try it one more time. I think
We'll try one more time.
Yeah.
And we know that if we install an application on 100 machines, it will fail on 1 or 2 at least. Someone will close the machine, someone has the application working with the application, or just changing network, you are losing the distribution point, or there will happen lots of things that we can't test. We will do test and test one more time, but we will not be able to test everything. No. But the test we are doing, it will make sure that the count, how many machines that will get wrong, really shouldn't be too large at least.
No. I think that sums up the overview and where you should start in some sense.
Yeah.
So let's close that and go to the next part.
Yeah.
Yes, we are back, and let's go and talk about permissions.
Yeah.
Often when we show the interface, we are on like top domain administrators, and that's not always the best for a normal administrator to be. It should be, you should have the right permissions for your work. If you're an application administrator only, you should only have permissions to the application part of upKeeper, and if you have like in help desk, you are normally mostly working with computers and the devices and groups, so you should only have permissions for that. So can we have a look at that maybe?
Yeah.
How we should set up for our users?
Yeah. We need to use our account, that is upKeeper admin,
Yep.
else we can't access this view. upKeeper administration, we will go to this page. Open admin log, that's good. If you have something happen in the environment and no one will tell it was I did that reinstalled operating system of the boss's machine. So we can find it.
Yep.
But we have our roles, and the roles we have administrator, does everyone have, and a help desk. And we have some, depending on how large the environment, you can have more than 2, 3, or 4, 5 different roles, depending on what you're allowed to do. So that's often common that you are able to add computers to a group, You can not remove application from a group. You can't add an application to a group, but you can work with one computer object and add an application and add to a group. So you can't trigger a sequence that will mass uninstall Microsoft Office 365 in the whole environment. You need more security rights for that. So in this case, we will have a new role that will be. Do you have any good name? Test.
Yeah, Workday user.
Yeah.
Workday user, user group.
Workday user.
Users. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, there we go. And we have created our new role, and we will add a permission. And we can see we have lots of pages here. So we will filter it. So we add computer.
And we can say that the first part of the permission name is the entity we are talking about, like computers you search for now, and you will get every permission that has computer in some sense in the name. So you get those permissions. And as we can see, it's really fine. You can set permissions on every tab, so to say.
Yeah.
So
I added some for computers. So right now we only can work from computer view. I can work with only one computer, but I will be able to. I want to be able to add an application and trigger to more than one computer at the same time. So I can. So I need to have a list. I will need to be able to application and manage computers. And we have view. If you add application manage group, then we can add an application to a group, and a group can contain more than one computer object.
Yeah.
So you need to know what will happen there. You will get always a pop-up. Then now we will install this application on 10,000 machine or 20,000 machine.
But it's important to give the right permissions, as we started with.
Yeah. So we can work with a computer, we can delete it and manage it completely. We can work with a little bit more with application. Do we need any more security rights?
I think it's good for now.
So we have our new role.
Yeah.
We need a user. And work user. We give a password.
It's really a secure password normally.
Yeah.
That seemed to be a little bit
it can be
for
a
now.
upKeeper admin, it's a no.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have. It's only a few IT guys that need to be an upKeeper admin.
You should really compare upKeeper admin with domain admin in a AD. You should have normally one, maybe two. That are admin and they shouldn't use it on their daily basis. They should use it only for special occasions.
Yeah, and we have a user service account. And it's more for when we have some integration that's need to connect to upKeeper client API, upKeeper admin API.
Yeah, and when we have activated the two-factor authentication.
So this usually we need to add a role. So the first thing is we choose what organization, and we have our Workday user and add. So now we have created our user and added right permission for that one.
Perfect.
And the next thing is to do a test.
Yeah. So every user that is created should have the correct permissions, be in the correct role and so on.
Yeah.
So that everyone shouldn't be like upKeeper admins that as a really bad situation. And we have been, both you and me have been in organizations where we have seen users with too high permissions that have done really bad things to the environment. So try to keep it as clean as possible.
Yeah, and we have done the work where we have been enterprise admin in all Active Directory, but we are only going to install upKeeper. So what we can see that log on with our account, and we can see we have applications we can manage. We can go from devices.
Yeah.
We can see those. So from the application, we can see that we are missing groups. We can go from application, and we can go to computers, and we can add more than one, and so on. So that's nice. So we can create different roles in the organization. So that if you don't have it, make sure to do it.
Yeah. And from this, the start view from computers and so on, you can do it, actually everything you need to do on a daily basis, I would say. Everything else would be set on another level, so to say. Everything should be organized in that way. When you do like a normal change, as we talked about earlier, is to make application changes in the environment. We can make like large environment changes, new Microsoft Office or something else. In many environments, you just push it out. You do the application package and you push it out. In a normal workday, you should make the application package.
Yeah, perhaps if I have that is one of my work things I should do. Create the application packet. I will packet it. Try to use that setup that's are delivered to me. Not create a new MSE file from a setup exe that has support for unattended installation, and do some testing, make sure it is installed correctly, add it in upKeeper, and I will push it out on the test machine and make sure the end user does have order it, make sure it works correctly, and after that I will start pushing out to those machine or the whole environment. And if this is a new application, I will add it. Add this application to a standard application group. I will set the random offset so it will be all at once. We perhaps have in upKeeper client API that we allow 1,000 machines at the same time, but perhaps I don't want still that it will start all 1,000 at once. So we can set a random offset.
That we should do.
Yeah, we should do. And add it to the group, and we will push. But then we have the update. But I think before we do the large distribution, and I think many administrators forget this function, is the message function. You should before you distribute this application, you should use the message function and send out the message to the users about the large change, so that they know that it's coming. And if you don't know how the message function works and want to know more about it, I can recommend you to visit our next time in the 21st of July at 3 o'clock CET. We will talk about the message function, so you will learn everything about it then. But when you send out the message, that could be a great session. When you have sent out the message, you can start distribute the application, and as you said, you should configure the distribution so that your environment can take the load. So if you have like a limited amount of bandwidth, you should limit the amount of clients that can change at one time, so to say. Yes. I think that sums up the permission part for now. So let's go to next. Yes. What do we do more in a normal day? Normal day. We reinstall lots of machines. Install new machines. And we perhaps need to build a new Windows image. If we want that, or we just use the ISO that we can download from Microsoft. and deploy it.
And when it comes to the how to build an ISO and
Yeah.
so on, we can recommend you to look at our earlier live casts. They are public available now, so you can look at them and see how you do it in a proper way.
Yeah. But we have something we need that we have. Think about that when we build a new image, we need to test it.
Yep.
So we create a new platform that we call Windows 10 Test in this case, and we test it to install it and make sure it can domain join and so on. And if everything works fine, we copy that Vim file to the production environment platform, and so when we install the machine from Windows 10 platform, it will install the latest one. One thing that we can see sometimes, we take a look at the other one. We have, in this case, this is an image. We point out the folder. When we are booting on upKeeper SUSE, it will check what assignment we have. And if the assignment is that we will reinstall or reinstall from scratch, it will run this command in this case. I will apply the image file as I pointed here, and it will copy everything in that folder to the machine. So in this case, the folder I'm pointing out here has to be the same as I'm pointing out here. Else we'll not find the image file we want to. And we can see that we have sometimes the customers are doing like this, and we have deployed this Windows 10 Reseal, and we create a new one. We add it in a new folder, and we do a reinstall only. The Vim file we have created is about 5-6 gigabyte, and our service partition that we are storing the Vim file is standard is 10. Some users are added to 15 gigabyte. So when we are going to install this platform, we have changed the folder, then we will not replace the Vim file that's already there. We will create a new folder. We still have the old Vim file in the machine, and we will add a new one. So we will have 2 Windows 10 image files that are 5 to 6 gig each. So we'll out of space. So this is a thing that happens sometimes, and the user change, but we run a reinstall with scratch and it will fix the problem. But remember to have same folder always for your production, and you have another folder for test. And just replace the image in that folder instead, and you don't get that issue.
Great.
But operating system, we install it. Remember to test after you have built it.
That's
what more?
I don't know.
Did I miss something?
No, I think we covered the most of the things we talked about before this. So we'll take a quick look at the chat and see if we have no questions for today. So I think we have covered everything. I had a little bit of a thought about, we talked about permission, we talked about users. We would really recommend you to activate two-factor authentication, of course. And if you don't do that, you should change the password quite frequent, and you should have really long passwords as well. And remember that many of the upKeeper environments are actually exposed to the internet. Is there any other functions that we should just recommend to the administrators to start use in their environments
for daily work?
For daily work,
there are a couple, but remember we have a copy function. We will install a new machine to the same user. We want to add the same properties, the same application, same groups, so we can use a copy. We can add a new name, and we will get all the application and groups and tasks that's added that the older machine had. That's a good one. So remember that. I know we have some that haven't seen it. Another one that can be a little harder, new computer name.
Yeah.
We can change the computer name, but remember that it's the computer object that will change the computer name in Active Directory. So if the computer object is not have the right permissions to do that, it will fail. So, that's a function that we.
So this depends on which account has created the account in Active Directory.
Yeah.
If it's the computer itself that has the permission to change it, then it can change itself its name.
Yeah.
So it's kind of complex. So yeah, it's possible.
Yeah, it's possible.
Yes.
Yeah.
Of course.
So that's one thing that I think copy and computer name, they are sometimes missed. Yeah.
And you thought about the same function in applications, the copy application function? Or?
Yeah, if you have an organization for test and one for production, so there you have the same that you can use a copy, and we have the same for platform and for hardware. Yeah. So we can easily copy those. So that's good. Replace by is a good function for a little more almost daily work. We will use it, so we can easily, if you have application that shouldn't be installed on every machine, but a couple, so it's easy to add the new application. So replace by is good.
Yes.
Remember if you have application that can be user selectable, so the end user can work with my upKeeper. It's a really good tool, that too.
Yeah.
Don't miss that one. Perhaps we talk about that next time.
In the next.
Next.
Yeah.
And so on. What is your favorite function in upKeeper?
My favorite function? It's actually, I think it's upKeeper Energy.
Yeah.
It's a function that is quite subtle and not so used today, but there are more and more that start using it, and if you haven't started using it, we will talk about it next time in the middle of the summer, 21st of July. So tune in then if you want to see that. So I think we have covered a Workday in upKeeper and what you should look after, what permissions you should have, and where you can find a lot of information. The log files, as we talked in the beginning about, and the reports, of course, really important. And there are, we have the standard reports that are brought with upKeeper, but you can always build your own. And we will have a session about reports coming this year, I think, actually. So I think. Sorry.
Do you have any questions?
We can check the board. No questions at this time either. So we just say, as always, work less, manage more, and bye.
Bye-bye.